Wearing a borrowed suit, Richard was determined to attend his daughter's graduation. However, on the way there, an unexpected situation left him without shoes. With no resources and no time for another solution, he had to go barefoot. While many were drawn to his unusual appearance, what his daughter did impacted everyone there. Richard, a young boy, was just starting his journey in life when an unexpected event shook him to the core of his existence. Richard and his younger sister had faced tough challenges since a young age, especially after losing their mother. Raised without their father's presence, their mother's death marked a unique crossroads in their lives. At the time of this tragic event, Richard had just turned 18, a crucial turning point. With his mother gone, he was forced to take charge of the household and all the responsibilities it entailed. Julie, his younger sister, was only 16. Besides dealing with grief and their mother's absence, Julie was also grappling with the typical conflicts of adolescence, making her a rebellious and impulsive young woman. Richard worked tirelessly to keep the household finances balanced, diligently holding a job at a small neighborhood market. His modest salary ensured the family's basic needs were met. But for Julie, it was far from enough. She envied her friends' more comfortable lives, where buying clothes and shoes wasn't a concern. Richard's relentless efforts to keep the house in order often unraveled whenever Julie expressed her discontent over not being able to buy what she desired. Her complaints echoed through their home, making it even harder for Richard to balance financial responsibilities with his sister's demands. Driven by her longing to escape the constraints of their circumstances, Julie ended up getting involved with the wrong crowd and engaging in delinquent activities. What began as petty thefts soon became a dangerous routine. She dropped out of school and spent her days wandering the streets, as though on a quest to escape her dissatisfaction with life. One day, while Richard was busy at work, he spotted Julie and her group entering the market. Aware of the trouble she had been getting into, Richard decided to confront her directly. "Julie, what are you planning? I work here, and you, besides getting into trouble, are about to create problems for me." The tension quickly escalated into a heated argument, catching the attention of customers and, inevitably, the market owner. As Richard had feared, the altercation resulted in his dismissal, leaving him jobless. Later, when they returned home, the argument continued. Richard tried to convince Julie to abandon the dangerous path she was on, genuinely concerned for her well-being. However, Julie, full of justifications and teenage rebellion, argued back. At the height of their dispute, she announced she would no longer live with Richard. Without looking back, she slammed the door and left. Neither of them could have predicted that this would be the last time they'd see each other. 3 long years passed after that fateful day. Destiny was about to alter Richard's life once again. On a rare day off from his job as a construction assistant for a building company, a tough and demanding role, Richard was enjoying a well-deserved break when the doorbell rang. Upon answering, he was met by a social worker whose serious expression indicated she bore troubling news. With a heavy heart, the social worker revealed that Julie had been found dead in an apartment, a victim of her struggle with drug addiction. A chasm of pain opened within Richard, but the surprises weren't over. The social worker revealed that with Julie, there had been a baby, her 6-month-old daughter. The impact of this news left Richard stunned. Faced with an overwhelming decision, the social worker explained his options. He could take responsibility for the baby and raise her, or she would be placed for adoption. Despite his grief and the difficulties of raising a child alone, Richard's generous heart and love for Julie led him to make a choice without hesitation. He decided to raise his niece. The baby's name was Grace. Richard quickly developed a deep bond with her, feeling she carried the essence of his beloved sister. Richard's days became a relentless journey of effort. He woke up early each morning to take Grace to daycare, worked tirelessly during the day, and rushed back in the evening to pick her up. The little one. Additionally, he faced all the household chores that raising a baby required. The nights were not always peaceful, as a baby demanded more care and attention than Richard had imagined. However, Richard was not alone on his journey. Some ladies from the neighborhood, moved by Richard's story and dedication to little Grace, offered their help willingly. They cooked meals for him and offered to wash the baby's clothes, easing some of the burden he faced. The months rolled by, and as time passed, Richard and Grace built an even stronger bond. When little Grace uttered her first word, it came as no surprise to anyone that the word was Daddy. That was precisely what Richard was to her. As the girl grew up, Richard never hid the true story of their family, explaining Grace's origins and their relationship to her. Richard was her father in every sense that mattered, and this genuine love was something that no obstacle could shake. Richard was tireless in his determination to provide Grace with everything she needed. He even went as far as ending relationships with people who didn't accept that his number one priority was his daughter. His love for Grace ran so deep that he wouldn't allow her future to resemble Julie's in any way. He was determined to provide Grace with a safe, loving, and stable environment where she could grow and thrive. That adorable little baby who once arrived in Richard's arms had turned into a beautiful young woman who was about to graduate in education. The path to that moment was marked by many extra hours of work and sacrifices, but Richard saw in Grace the shining result of all his hard work. The pride and gratitude he felt for his daughter were indescribable. Grace's graduation day was quickly approaching, and she had been chosen to represent the students with a speech during the ceremony. With anxiety and anticipation, she approached Richard and asked with a radiant smile, "Dad, you'll be there to see me give my speech, won't you?" Richard responded tenderly, "Of course, my dear. I wouldn't miss this moment for anything in the world. I'll be there to applaud you and celebrate this great day by your side." Grace then added with a worried look, "Dad, I forgot to mention, but the graduation committee requires everyone to be dressed in formal attire. Would you mind wearing a suit?" Richard smiled and replied affectionately, "Of course not, my love. I'd be honored to wear a suit for this special day. I'll do my best to live up to the occasion and to you." The situation posed a challenge for Richard because he didn't own a suit and had already spent a lot of money this month paying for Grace's graduation party expenses. There were no financial resources available to buy a suit. Richard was lucky to chat with a coworker who offered to lend him a suit he had worn at his own wedding. Although the suit was somewhat old, Richard accepted the kind offer, knowing it would be suitable for the occasion. He took care to have the suit dry cleaned, and soon it was gleaming like new. But the shoes, also borrowed, weren't in good condition. Richard realized that at least for that special night, he could make them work. He grabbed some shoe polish, and with care and patience, covered the scuffs and wear, restoring them as best he could to ensure they looked presentable and suitable for the graduation. The big day had finally arrived, and Grace looked stunning, with her hair styled in a modest way that further enhanced her natural beauty. She was filled with excitement and apprehension, especially about the speech she would give. "Dad, the students need to be at the ceremony venue early to receive the final information. We'll meet there, right?" she said, heading toward the graduation venue with a radiant smile and eyes full of anticipation. "Of course, honey. See you there in a few hours," Richard replied with an affectionate smile. He proudly watched his daughter head toward the graduation. Richard carefully prepared for the graduation, taking a refreshing shower, shaving with attention to detail, combing his hair, and wearing the borrowed suit, which made him look truly elegant. He was ready for the big event, eager to celebrate this special moment alongside his daughter. But when he put on the shoes, something unexpected happened. The sole of the shoes almost completely came off. In a moment of quick decision, he remembered having superglue among his supplies. Richard used the glue to stick the sole back in place, knowing it wasn't the ideal solution but understanding it was the only available alternative. Now ready, and with the shoe temporarily fixed, he headed toward the graduation. Halfway there, a heavy rain began to fall, quickly transforming the surrounding scenery. The storm proved relentless, and Richard watched from the bus window as the weather deteriorated. Upon getting off the bus, Richard realized the urgency of seeking shelter, but his clothes no longer displayed the same elegance as before. They were soaked. Drops dripped from his suit, and he struggled to maintain dignity amidst the challenging situation. However, the worst was yet to come, and he prepared to face more adversities on the way to his daughter's graduation. The graduation venue was a few blocks away from Richard's temporary shelter, and the ceremony time was dangerously close. Faced with this race against time, Richard had no choice but to brave the rain and cover the distance to get there. As he ran through the wet streets, Richard began to feel that the soles of the borrowed shoes had come loose again. With each step, the situation worsened, and he almost stumbled several times. Finally, panting and completely soaked by the rain, Richard arrived at the graduation venue. Looking down at his feet, he sadly realized that little of the shoes remained on his feet, leaving him only with soaked socks. Richard moved through the crowd of family members and guests, drawing curious looks and comments. Grace, spotting her father, ran toward him with a radiant smile and eyes full of love. "Sorry, my daughter. I know I'm looking like a mess and probably embarrassing you, but it's just that." Richard began to explain, but Grace didn't let him finish. She simply took her father by the arm and led him to the reserved area for him. Richard sat in the front row with a privileged view of where Grace would deliver her speech. Then came the moment that surprised everyone. When Grace was called, she started in an unexpected and touching way. "I would like to break protocol tonight and invite a very special person to accompany me as I deliver my speech." Grace surprised everyone by walking over to where Richard was sitting, taking him by the arm, and leading him to the stage. Even barefoot and completely soaked by the rain, Richard followed her with pride and gratitude. "Today, in my graduation speech, I want to express my gratitude to someone very special. Someone who chose to be my father, my mother, in a way that transcends blood ties and exemplifies the true meaning of love, commitment, and dedication. My father, Richard, is an extraordinary example of how choices can shape our destiny. He chose to be my father, not out of obligation, but out of unconditional love. He chose to face challenges, overcome obstacles, and sacrifice his own comfort to give me the best possible life. His unwavering commitment to caring for me and providing a safe and loving environment shaped my character and inspired me to pursue the path of education. In education, I learned that the role of the educator goes beyond academic teaching. It's about nurturing, inspiring, and empowering students to reach their full potential. My father did exactly that in my life. He not only taught me to read and write, but also showed me the power of love, resilience, and determination. By choosing to be my father, he gave me a solid foundation to pursue my dreams, just as educators inspire their students to seek knowledge and excellence. So on this special day, I want to thank my father for his choice to be my father and for his unwavering support. May his dedication inspire all of us to embrace our choices with love, commitment, and passion, just as he has done. May we apply these lessons in our journey in education, seeking not only to impart knowledge, but also to make a difference in the lives of our students. Thank you, Dad, for being my greatest example of love and education. And thank you to everyone here for sharing this special moment with me. Thank you all so much. Grace and Richard shared a warm hug on stage, enveloped by a wave of heartfelt applause from everyone present at the graduation ceremony. Grace's future was still being written, a blank page filled with possibilities and achievements. Looking back, she could already see that her past was a beautiful story of love and dedication from a father who had chosen to be her father. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also, watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.